Please help me in welcoming to the stage our moderator for tonight's Q&A, cinematographer Chris Blauvelt.
I guess I'm going to introduce our director, Cole Webley. John Magaro. All right, is everybody okay? I saw this movie, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I, of course, loved it. And I just recently rewatched it just for tonight, just to brush up on it, and I was just like devastated. I came home from my studio, my wife visibly saw, like, are you okay? And it really did affect me. I started thinking about, I don't have kids, I have kitty cats. But I have a niece, and I was like, I can't wait to just hug her. Anyway, great job, you guys. It's an incredible film. I'm so just grateful to know both of you and see the work that you created on this. To me, it's just so thoughtful, and it's just like this quiet observation of this family going through what they're going through. And I don't know, I guess I'll start by just asking like how you got this project like.
First of all, let me say thanks, because I've been a student of the art that Chris has touched for a long time, and hi you guys. You know, there's someone in the room who worked on this movie who hasn't seen, so my key grip, Steve Dorman, is here. This is the first time seeing the movie. This project came to me in a really perfect time, as some of these like lucky and serendipitous things do. I was working on a script with the writer, Robert Machoian, who's an incredible filmmaker in his own right, and Robert, I asked him for more writing samples, and I read this just as like an audience member, like, because we were working on our own thing. I anticipated that to be my first movie. And so I, like you, read this as just someone who was reading a great script, not looking to direct it. And it just struck me, and I remember saying, oh, whoever makes that movie is gonna make a great movie, you know? Yeah. And we set it aside, and then a few months later, my producer, Preston Lee, and I just it was like, it clicked, that movie that I saw, the second I read it, you knew it was a film. You know, sometimes you read scripts and you're like, oh, this could be a movie. But from John's character to these great kid roles and the potency of that emotional journey, I just found it to be so incredible and everything that I wanted to explore. We jumped back into that script, and I read it a second time as though I would get to make it. And that was just enlightening. And we dove, that was in March, and we were shooting in September of that year.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, that doesn't happen much, does it? Yeah. And how did it come to you, John? And how did you
tell us how it came to me.
You don't have to say that part. I just want to know.
No, but we've said it over and over again because it's really the truth. A big reason that this happened, or that I did it, is because of that guy right there. So Chris and I have worked together several times now with the great Kelly Reichardt, who we both love. Thank you. And I know how brilliant he is as an artist and how sublime his taste is. So when I got a message from him saying, hey, take a look at the script, give this guy Cole a chance, he's a cool guy and he knows what he's doing, that was a good, vouch for someone. So that helped. Also, Robert Machoian, who wrote the script, has I've only seen Killing a Few Lovers, which was fantastic film from a few years back. But then I read it and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with these people and that character, especially something that I hadn't done really before. It was of stuff there to play. That's the kind of thing you look for as an actor. And I had a quick call with this guy, but I already knew that I was going to do it, and that was all it took, and I was in, and I'm so happy that I dove in, and thank you for connecting with us.
Well, it wasn't hard. I mean, I've worked with Cole, doing some commercial work and have gotten to know him pretty well. And he had mentioned wanting to do a film, a feature. And when this came up, and he sort of asked me, like, hey, we're looking into John, can you just put a good word? And to me, it was a no-brainer. I mean, both of you guys are very thoughtful individuals that like really care about your craft, and so it's just incredible that how this worked out and what you made. Like, it's so impressive on so many levels, and yeah, I just appreciate that. You know, when you introduce friends, you know, of your friend group, and they go off and do something together, it's like, to me, it's just, there's so much pride in that, seeing that, oh wow, they really, you know, made something that.
Well, and then it was like, they get along too.
Yeah,
like,
well,
you know, like Cole and I have become really great friends too, and yeah, I mean, it's just, it was, yeah. But you have that energy, you know how to like, or you should be a matchmaker.
Well, I think maybe I've just been calling on this the matchmaker. What about, how about the kids? I mean, they're like, I mean, you guys agree that they're just so phenomenal and like real. It just feels so honest, like everything that's happening. And I have a lot of questions about this actually.
Speaking of here, someone can answer the question. Wyatt.
Yeah, look. Yes.
These are cool things.
I have two things to say.
Oh.
Do any of you remember the water fountain scene from when we were at the zoo? Yeah. So that scene I actually came up with just because I wanted water and I just saw The second thing to say is thank you for everyone being here to see my movie. Special thanks to Jackson Axe for coming too.
Good job, man. We found these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful kids through a very traditional casting process with my lovely casting directors, Meg Morgan and Sunny Balling, who are here. So the gals just work their you-know-what's off to put out tapes and find and search through kid casting, which is always a discovery. And, we have this amazing tape come in of this little girl who had just moved to Los Angeles via Australia, but she's British, and she had been living in Australia from 2 to 6, or from 4 to 6 or something like that, or 6 years, I don't know. But she moved to LA, and she had rehoused their dog, and she had all this like emotion and energy to bring about that SPCA scene. And her take was just, it was just like, really gobsmacked me in a way that I knew that she could source these feelings as a little 9-year-old, So that's Molly Bell Wright, and she was very sad to not be here. She was in New York for our opening, and then she's in school, so she had to go back.
That's not true. She came out here for a big Paramount movie premiere. But she didn't stick around for her indie film ever. She's outgrown us.
I did give her a little bit of flack for that.
No, she did have to get home.
Wait, so was she
Deep
has
water.
an accent?
Yeah, she's from Manchester. She's got like a proper Manchester accent.
I know, the best thing is that these Q&As is we hand her the mic and nobody knows that, and then she starts talking. And everybody starts whispering.
And with her talk, she had a similar talk.
Yeah, so Molly is like a really mature, wiser than her years, little actress, and she was incredible. And then I got this other tape of this, this person who just looked at me through the screen, and he just pierced my soul almost. I was so shocked at how connected I felt with Wyatt, even just through a screen, and how present he was. And Wyatt first movie, right, bud? You've done a short film, I think, or a commercial before this, but yeah. And Wyatt, I just remember doing the callback with him and just being like, wow, like he's just so present. And he's 6, and this is gonna be a challenge, because it's hard for anybody to go to work 27 days in a row, but much more for a 6-year-old. So we came and we met in Los Angeles with Molly. We did what's called the chemistry read, right? You remember that?
Sort of.
That's where you did all those drawings and showed me you and Molly met at that house in Silver Lake. And we did some scenes together, and it was just really apparent that both of these kids have incredible parents who were gonna come on this journey and be partners in it, which was really necessary. And then that Wyatt was going to offer this movie something that it needed, which was just a live wire act all the time. That there would be something fresh and spontaneous constantly happening. And then it was like John and Molly that were able to kind of react to that with what Wyatt brought to all those scenes. Like he said, he wrote a scene.
Yeah, I mean, the chemistry just carries through. Like, it's not hard for me to believe that happened in early on, because like on screen, you guys seem just like a real family. And I mean, Wyatt obviously being like this feral kid, and Wyatt, did you do those drawings in the movie?
I'm pretty sure, but I can't really remember.
You remember you did those drawings. I kept trying to get you to draw us in the script.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, I'm drawing these video game
Boss
characters.
20 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, which was actually way better because it, was so unique to you. I do have to say, can I say a little bit about John too, like how important it was for me to cast this dad, and that, again, walking that line of who this dad does or who this dad is and what he has to do in this movie. And I was such a fan of John's long before he got to carry movies like your movie, First Cow, and then of course Past Lives, but I was, right on. Cookie, shout out for Cookie. I loved those characters, and I loved what John, just the depth he brought to those characters without any words. He gets a little bit more in Past Lives, but in Cookie, or as Cookie in First Cow, there's not a lot he gets to say on camera, and that was my dad, this character, and so that's that. John's an incredible actor, he's one of our best working actors, blah, 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 he's awesome, he knows I love him. But what John did when he came to set was he built trust with the kids, and he allowed them to be their best selves. And that was part of the environment I built with our team and everything, but had John been just like, I'm gonna act and go away and come back and act, the movie wouldn't be what it is. And so John really is a co-director in those scenes, and he allowed these kids to really shine.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and I've had the same experiences with John, with Kelly, and on our films, and there's such a great collaboration and openness between the crew, the director, the actors, so to get in search of something that seems authentic. And I think that, not unlike the films that I do with Kelly and John, I think you guys did such a good job at making such a subtle, quiet observation. Like, I really felt that I really felt in the movie. And that's like saying, the antithesis of that is like when you feel the director or the camera moving and things. And I feel like as a whole, and this goes to like the music, the score, the editing, the color timing, like I'm a cinematographer, and Paul did like an absolutely incredible job, and there's texture in there and everything that I love about films. I wanted to ask maybe if you could speak a little bit to like the process on set, like kind of keeping that vibe together, and I've worked with you, and I know that your humanity is just like out there, and so everybody feels comfortable. And I mean, especially working with Wyatt and Molly, also like the camera's right in your face, Wyatt, and but I felt like we're just observing him in his natural environment, and that goes movie, or also were there like reference films? I'm curious.
Yeah,
about
dude,
that.
so that, as you know, there's a million choices that go into that
Yeah.
kind of essence on the screen, one of which, of course, is this great score, which I wanted to call out Christopher Blauvelt right there. Who, when I heard that Chris was considering our movie, I was just so floored and grateful for the beautiful score that he gave us. In fact, Chris sent me one of the first tracks while we were road tripping back and forth to Omaha to scout it, and so I had the luxury of kind of building a vision with that first piece when they go out and push the car, and I felt like that was the kind of theme of the film. So anyways, so many things that go into it, but when we talk about holistically, what did we set our mind to, is that we wanted to make an observational film that felt like a photo book, that felt like if I sat down and looked at a photo book of a road trip I took as a child, what would those frames feel like, what would they look like? We would have preferred to shoot on 16 mil, but it was very much smarter with Wyatt and Molly's performances to shoot Alexa 35, but we tested every lens. We spent, Daniel DeVue is in the audience, I believe, too, my incredible colorist, who, there's Daniel. And with Daniel and Traffic and Robert and Daniel's whole team, they gave us the luxury of time. And we worked on halations, we're in LA, right? You guys love movies, so I'm getting into it. We worked on textures, all these things that Paul and I didn't, we watched our Dane Brother movies, and we watched Callie's movies and a lot of road trip movies, but we kind of stopped doing that, and we just looked at photo books and these incredible, like Alex Soth, who's great books of just going on these road trips across the Southwest, and then with Wyatt and Molly, it became very clear that like, if I tried to do too much with the camera, it was just like their performance, needed to tell me where and how, and so we just shot the movie mostly locked off. There's actually one dolly shot that we did in the movie, and then we put it was like we had it in the cut for like 30 seconds, and we were just like, this is terrible. That's not the movie,
What was that? I don't even remember.
It's like when there was like a moment where the kids ran into the grocery store to go pay for the gas, and it never made it in the cut. We set up one dolly, and I was like looking at it like angry. Why are we setting it? Sorry, Steve. This isn't right. So we got rid of the dolly. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, so I probably didn't answer the question, but honestly, like, I just looked at we would just constantly look at the frame and say, what feels artifice? What feels manufactured? And deconstruct from there. And oftentimes that was even kind of like, sometimes it was just words, Robert has a beautiful script and he penned it with his kids in mind, and so like 99.9% of the time, these words were beautiful coming out of these kids' mouths, but every once in a while you felt like a screenwriter's hand back there, or an adult, and then Wyatt would inevitably just blow the scene into realism because he would reshape those words,
Yeah.
You tell me if you remember. I don't remember. Do you remember the camera really being up in your face?
Honestly, sometimes I didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
But I just didn't look
But I think the camera wasn't up in her face a lot. I mean, Paul was there.
But
Paul
I
was
think
there.
that's a testament, in my
But
opinion,
he
to
was
like you guys
bench.
making that a comfortable environment where you
Yeah.
sort of everyone's used to it, and it's like not imposing, and like you're just able to observe.
Never imposed, and also, quite frankly, like in the car, it pretty much was like hostess trays. So
Yeah.
there was no one, it was us.
Yeah.
And then it would roll, it had sound in the trunk, trying to capture this shit. Sorry, you didn't hear that. Otherwise, it was pretty much us out there, and that kind of stayed out of our way, it felt like.
John
That's really cool.
I know what I owe you guys.
Instead of Edward, yeah,
Oh man, yeah, it's really good to hear about the process too. I mean, okay, so when I first put the movie on this week to rewatch it, I was struck by, again, and I don't know if you've done more work before I saw it last, I just couldn't tell, but
Yeah, I think you saw like a almost lock.
Yeah.
You submitted, but it wasn't.
but I think it was like, now I'm seeing the complete package.
Yeah,
with the-
exactly.
With the color, the gray.
I still have the text message that you sent me.
I said, you're gonna color this, right?
No, I was deep in the edit and we hadn't submitted Sundance or anything. And I remember sending it, you were like one of the first peers that I sent it to, and your text back to me, which you probably don't remember, was so significant, it kept me and Jay Shukla, who's here, my editor, who worked on this movie for a year with me. He was my therapist through all of this, and we would there was 3 filmmakers who I knew that we loved the same movies, and if there's directors in the room, when you're cutting your movie, you're very precious, your heart can be crushed. Don't send your movie to people who don't like movies that you like. And I knew I had to send it to 3 people that loved movies like me, and you wrote me back something that gave me so much confidence to stay the path. And it was just a simple little bit, and I think that was the only time you saw it until last night or whatever.
Yeah, wow, okay.
So now, and all this because we did oatmeal commercials together.
Yeah. They're the best looking old ones. No, I think what happened was the opening shot is just like you're in a house and it's this beautiful, it's the chair against the wall. It's this just like portrait, and it reminded me of like movies I love. It's like I knew I was in for something great, already just visually speaking. And it reminded me of like I was wondering if there were like references to like Eggleston or Saul Leiter, and like I saw it all. But also, sorry to bring it back to cinematography, but that's my thing, I guess. There were compositions where like there's just like a lot of headroom. And it just like worked. It's like, can you just talk about that?
Yeah. Sorry guys. We tested 239. We were just like, is this 4.3? Is it like right? And I just love to me what that invokes is just the sense of, like unlike some people feel like it's like, oh, and like, what do we call it? Like short side or high, whatever.
Yeah.
When there's lots of
like a lot of headroom, yeah.
Yeah, like I always felt that gave
Or
this
negative space, or what do you do?
the sense of like anything could happen, and there is just a little bit of it feels slightly uneasy, but that the characters aren't just like shoved in. I wanted that car to feel safe and somewhat expansive. And I just loved that framing that really kind of, accentuated space in a way that a home would, but that their car was their home, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of that. There's some of it in the hotel, things like that. But yeah, thanks for noticing. I mean, like the movie, like you said, it could be done 100 different ways, but we really wanted to create something that felt like solitude and expansiveness and but loneliness too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish Paul Myers was here because he did fantastic work on the movie.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him. He did such a wonderful job. And that was his first feature?
Yeah, and Paul and I again had, like you and I, what Paul and I had shot like a couple of short films and maybe 30 commercials together,
Yeah.
leading up to this.
Incredible. Like really, really honestly. Can you talk a bit about just like the trip and the hardships of like the travel? It seems like you guys went to so many places, and like what was that like as a circus of people with camera and sound and all the, is that?
Well, it reminded me kind of like when we were doing First Cal, like running around to different towns in Oregon is what we were doing there. And in a way, it bonds you as a company, because you're living in these roadside hotels and you're going to the same Applebee's or whatever, like there's nothing else in the town.
Setting off illegal fireworks in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Actually legal in Wyoming.
Well, so that, in a way, for like a movie like this, it really bonds the cast and crew together. So, I mean, we were in a place, so we mainly were in Utah, and Salt Lake City was our home base, but we went down to we spent a few nights in a couple different towns around the area. I can't remember the name of the town, but anyway. And then we also went to a couple places in Wyoming. There's one amazing place called Little America. Does anyone know Little America in Wyoming? It's like
along the I-80
it's
corridor.
like basically a roadside stop, motel, truck stop. And we lived there for like 4 days, and it was insane. And that's where they're setting off fireworks. And then we also went to some weird bed and breakfast on the other side of the line.
That was haunted.
That was haunted, right? Do you remember the haunted house?
Pretty sure.
But anyway, it bonded us all, I think, in a big way, and that helped for just the like morale on the set, you know.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you mentioned it. I think like films for me, it's like summer camp.
Yeah.
And like sometimes it's even like the harder it is, or like the weather, the extreme weather, or any of these things like you go through something, it just really does create like this family thing. Like, you know, you'll like live and die with these people at a certain point. So you have such a romanticized thing about them when it's over. Like I definitely had FOMO watching this film, thinking about that part. Because obviously I know you guys, and I was just like, you must have had such a wonderful time working with Wyatt and Molly too, and even the dog like just seems so wonderful to be around.
Wyatt, did you like working with the dog?
Yeah.
Do you remember his name? I can't remember his name.
The only name I'm thinking of is Rex.
Yeah, because we kind of just called him by his character name.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was something that started like a T or something.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, he was a good dog. Listen, making movies are so hard, you know? They can't be hard and a terrible experience. And we were okay with it being hard. And Wyatt's parents and Molly's parents, they were okay with it being hard. And we had a great SAG teacher who was, you know, Bettina Russo, who was helping us with these kids. And, you know, it's like Wyatt, we only got to have Wyatt for 4 hours on set. You know what I mean? And Molly only 6. So we made this movie in adult hours, 18 days. You know what I mean? It's like 27 shoot days, but we really were cruising, and the kids were working their butts off, and they would get tired, and we would get tired, but we had a good time. It was really essential to me with as heavy of a material that these kids walked away with just a great summer movie experience that, you know, was also like a positive experience for them. So we made sure to keep it light. We had fun, we listened to music, we joked around a lot, and we worked hard, huh?
Yeah, and also, dang, I forgot what I was gonna say.
That's okay.
I do all the time, buddy.
Oh, I remember that. I couldn't work longer than 4 hours.
Not legally.
It's kind of meant 2 hours, but 4 hours was the legal side.
Yeah. Anna, do you wanna?
Yeah, let's do some audience
You guys,
questions.
anybody out here have questions? All right. Yeah.
I have 2 questions. One is for John. When you read the script, were you surprised by the ending? Did you expect it to go in the direction that it went in?
Did you guys hear that? When he read the script, was he surprised by the ending?
No, because I had the context of I didn't know about that law in Nebraska at all. I had no awareness of it. And we were just in Omaha last night for this, talking to the people. And there was a person from the legislature who worked on the legislation from it, and she like broke down about her regrets about that legislation. So no, I wasn't aware of that. But when I got the script, that was in the information that was there, so I did kind of know that it was going to end pretty sadly. Yeah, it was spoiled for me.
My last question for either John or the director. In the trailer of Omaha, there's a song that plays in the middle of the trailer all the way to the end. quite a few people in the YouTube comment section are wondering what that song is, and I keep regularly checking for updates until this day.
Yeah.
Please help us.
Yeah, I know, because I paid for it. It's,
Please settle this one.
yeah, it's,
It's not in the song?
I'm gonna, now, no, it's not, and this guy's great, I connected with this artist, and it's hard to find this, but it is on YouTube. I believe it's called Weightless Enough by California Gold.
Okay.
And if you Google that, you're gonna find, but also, on Instagram, I did finally respond to someone on one of those posts. It's a great track. The Weightless Enough, I believe, by California Gold.
Thank you so much.
I have a question about your rehearsals, because you always.
Alla,
I know, I'm here.
film school.
Anyways, yeah, it takes so much time to work with kids, because you have to get them ready, you have to prep them, and I was just wondering how much time did you get for rehearsals, and what was that process like for you?
Yeah, the kids came in about 3 or 4 days before we started the movie. So we didn't get much. What I valued more importantly than maybe rehearsals was bonding with John and the kids. We had the kids come in, we did some fittings and a little bit of haircuts, Saruskis, and then got them knowing the dog. And then John came in and he really just took them and had some time with them. I didn't sit and read lines with them ever before we shot the movie. It was me just feeling like I gotta build this trust and friendship with these people, and that, it worked out. I don't know if it would work every time, but we did get that one afternoon of 2 hours of chemistry read in LA, but that's it. We didn't get much time. And John came in like 2 or 3 days. John and I never rehearsed. I didn't see John play the role until I said action on day 1.
I had come, I was working in Germany right before this, so I kind of got there like at the last minute, really.
Yeah.
And
We were texting and I was like, about like his look, his feel, and you sent me a photo like you shaved your head after that
Yeah.
job, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask him to shave his hair short.
My wife loved it. She
Attention.
wished I had to go back to that. But we really didn't have that much time either. We went to the aquarium. Do you remember the aquarium?
Sort of. Actually,
You were only 6, so you don't have to
Yeah.
remember.
I remember.
We went to the aquarium with their families and we spent a day there, but really that was it. I mean, I think it helped that we started shooting with the first scenes, so we spent like 2 days kind of with, him waking up and getting in the car and kind of pushing it down that street. So that gave us like 3 more days to do all that downtime on set, to just hang out and get to know each other a little bit more, build a bit more of a trust. So when we really got cooking, that there was more stuff in there to go with.
And the only reason that I actually remember the aquarium is I remember just rolling down the grass hills. That's all I remember.
It's a good memory.
We have time for one more.
To Director Cole, there's a lot of kids that have been through this situation, unfortunately. There's
Yeah.
a message to the kids out there you can say anything for them?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought this up because, we've been doing these for a year now, and I always try to remember that there's probably people in the audience who've dealt with abandonment trauma like this, and this to me is the capital T type of trauma for these kids. Look, I think, I don't know how to solve that. I don't know how to express anything but hopefully some empathy for people who have been through it, to humanize what is a very, a statistic that it really happened to 35 kids, 36 maybe, we don't really know if it was 35 or 36, but I knew that if I could make a film that humanized this father's experience, at the same time not pulling punches as what it would do to those kids, that there would be something to hang our hat on and just kind of walk through life with a bit more empathy for why these parents did what they did, but also what these kids went through. So, as a filmmaker, I didn't make a movie dig into the humanity of it. And these guys, look, I couldn't have done it. Obviously, they're the ones doing the hard work. So I'm grateful that they did that. So, yeah, I think that's my answer.
Thanks, I think we're supposed to wrap it up.
You guys, I just want to say, if you worked on this movie, just stand up really quickly. We're in LA, there's a lot of people.